everybody. How you doing? Hey, we're getting some people trickling through. All right, how's everybody doing? Test 1, 2. It's funny, I just dropped that pick and it's like it disappeared into thin air. It's unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. I dropped a pick literally a second ago and it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it before. Like before I started playing guitar and stuff, you drop one pick. Now it doesn't work when you throw it or do it on purpose, but it's when you drop a pick, right? It's when you drop a pick and it just disappears. And then you find it like a week later when you're moving your pedal board around or you're changing some wiring or something. It's just crazy. Now, if I had tried to do that with my pick, like I have no idea where this thing went to. Like when you drop it, like on purpose, it just stays exactly where you drop it. But when you drop it out of accident, like it's everywhere, right? So, all right, welcome. I hope we've had a good week or a few days of practice. Okay, sure. The best thing to do would be if you have it on like a Dropbox or something along those lines. If you have it on a Dropbox, send me a link. Or if it's I guess if it's an audio file, it wouldn't be that big. You could probably just email it to me. But I'll happily listen to anybody's stuff. You know, I'm not 100% comfortable giving like critique because the reality is everybody is different, right? Everybody has different tastes. Everybody has different things they want to accomplish. And it's just not right for me to say, look, there's only, this should be this way. If that's in your head, then fantastic. But, it's been a good week for the most part. We've had some good growth. Everybody check the community tab. I got a message from somebody, and a very valid point. Last week we were talking about by learning, your three chords. By learning your three chords, or any three major chords, for the most part major, we can start off the 1, 4, 5 of every key. And some of those keys will have multiple open chords in them. Some will just have the 3, and some will only have 1 or 2. But if we start at 1, 4, 5, right? And I gave those examples of 3 chords to put together and learn songs from. So that's the key of C, right? Which has CFG as its 1, 4, 5. And then we did the key of D, which we have DAG, which is 1, 5, 4, or DGA, whatever, is the 1, 4, 5, right? And that will produce a number, like overwhelming number of songs. And then we had, of course, the GCD combination. Now, what I did on the community tab about an hour ago, I put a couple of links up there for websites that show you, or one of them in particular. Let me just get the one link, because I think it is the best link of them all. It's called Chord Genome, and the link is in the community tabs. So that's the word chord, all one word, GENOME, as in gnome, as in like garden gnome. So chordgenome.com. And they got a cool little thing. There's a box there, and if you enter any chords that, let's say, and this is really good. I wasn't really thinking about this, because I'm telling you, and people tell you what chords to learn and play. But there are times where, you've already learned chords and you only know a couple right now or whatever. So you can punch whatever you know into the search box, and you'll get a list of songs, if any, that come up with just the chords that you know in them. So, of course, the more chords you know, the more songs you're going to get, right? But if we try to stick to just 3, right, as a beginner, as we're starting out, let's stick to just 3 chords. Now, you're also going to find different things when you go through the list, and the list is going to be quite surprising to a lot of you. Like, love me do, I love you, right? Like, you're going to see some songs that maybe they used a variation of the G chord or the C chord or the D, and I think this site has pulled information based on, what's the easiest. Because there's a lot of songs. Like, for example, one of the songs on the list in GCD is this song. Bad moon rising, and that's not the right way to play it. You play it in D, and it's, I hear bad moon rising. Okay? So, but see, the thing is, when you're using those major chords within a key, there's a musical relationship. Now, we've touched on this in other lives, right? I just want to go through it just so you don't get confused thinking, well, I always thought that song had different chords. And again, what you're going to find in the list, a lot of these songs on these websites is, yeah, because they can be played. Remember, we talked about transposing stuff. We talked about, okay, there's a song in the key of E, but you don't really know any chords in the key of E except for E major, let's say. So you want to transpose it to another key to get a fresh set of chords that maybe you know. So some of this is going on here in these sites, okay? Like, really, I mean, can you trust any information site on the internet these days to give you the proper information? You don't know. I guess the only people that really know are the artists or people that have played those songs so long, and they just know that I can sit here and play this to the recording and it sounds good. So then I know I'm in the right key. So an example of that is that song by CCR, Bad Mood Rising. Like, I always played it, and I think it's actually played. Okay? But on this site, they've got it as a GCD song. Like that. G, G. It sounds the same. It's just in a different key, because we have like a musical relationship. So what I mean by that is, if we do G, C, D, G, C, D, okay? Well, we can then do A, D, E, right? So check it out. G, C, D, right? Okay. Or, okay, I'm sorry, I should have done it the other way. G, C, my brain's a little scrambled today. G, C, D, right? Would be A, D, E, it's the same, right? So let's do maybe a few more so you can get the idea. So let's go. Let's go. One more time. G, C, D. Now we can go A, D, E, A, D, E, A, D, E, G, C, D. You hear the relationship? Now it's higher and lower, okay, depending on which way you're going. But there's a relationship there. And that's all we're really doing when we use different keys to play songs or we use a capo. Okay, so if I put my capo on 2 and played G, C, D, right? Then I'm actually playing A, D, E. You hear the same? Right? G, C, D. They sound the same, just slightly higher or lower because of the key is different. But the musical relationship is the same, right? Like you can hear the melody. So for some of you out there, you're thinking, oh yeah, the GCD one sounds better for me. That's how I hear that on the radio. And others are saying, oh, wait a minute, I like that ADE sounded better to me. Right? And then there's still more of us that are saying, well, it might be in GCD, but my voice sounds better playing the ADE version. And we have to take that, us singers have to take that into consideration. And I will apologize up front. I do have a nasty, nasty cold. I've taken some stuff and everything, but my head is just congested and, it's all down through. So I may sound a little off and I may have a bit of a sneezing or coughing attack. So just warning you. All right. So some of and I'm not talking about just this website or the ones that I posted in the community tab. I'm talking about in general. Like for the most part, these are very reliable on these websites. But, you always remember they're uploaded by individual people. And some people just have the strangest ideas of what songs, how they should be played. And that's okay. It may not be my idea, so I won't use that version, but it's okay. Again, we talked about as a beginner and you're getting pulled everywhere and you don't know what to do. And the reality is, I've always found there's more and multiple ways to do everything. And I got hit with a troll this week that I don't know if it's a he, a she. I'm assuming they're very immature and young because they don't understand, but I still don't know what they were trying to say. They were trying to make a point that it's not hard to learn the guitar. It's only hard for me or something like that. And I couldn't understand what they're trying to say, and that, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be saying that because you're making it sound like it's so hard. Well, I didn't even know how to answer it, but it just goes, as an example that you have to understand that everybody has their way of wanting information, doing things, getting information, whatever. So look, unfortunately, people can't just say, well, it's not the way I do it or did it, and move on. They got to have their 8 cents worth of FaceTime. So you're going to get that, when you go to these websites, right? So, for example, and someone asked me, and again, a good point, I think I got sidetracked. Okay, so I guess the last week I either put out a short or it was the live show that I left that didn't get copyrighted or whatever. And someone had said, I get it. It's great. Thanks for the information. But you didn't give any examples. I did actually, I think, gave a couple of very weak examples of songs that actually play those chords that we can start learning. And I thought about it, and we all know, or a lot of you know, the reason I don't play songs is because I get tripped up with copyright. Yeah, well, what are you going to do, right? I get tripped up with these copyright notices. And they send them to you, and it's like, oh my God, you're gonna, they're gonna cut your head off at midnight. And I don't understand it because I see other people giving song instruction. Why don't they get copyright? And then I was told that, well, they maybe they don't monetize that video or their channels aren't monetized, which I find a little hard. I don't believe that one because there's some of these have, 100,000 subscribers. I'm sure they're doing this and getting the, the little ad revenue that comes with it. It makes it worth your while. And then I thought, well, and then someone else said they get permission. Well, who do you get permission from? And then someone else told me that there's a mechanism that you can apply to use these songs. But if there is, I don't get that. I get a message that says I have 3 options. That's why I don't, for you guys that are wondering and sending out song requests, I don't do song requests in these lives because I want the lives to stay up after I'm finished, so other people can see them, and not only to see what we're all about here and whether it's good for them or not, but you miss it, right? I can't please everybody's schedule, so that way you can see it after. And I get options that says I have to either mute out the affected area, the affected songs, cut out the affected songs, or delete the video. And I don't see any other choices. So I'm just letting you guys know that I'm more than aware that it's probably me, but this YouTube thing, I've said this so many times, it's not easy. Like their back end, the administrative tools are very complicated. I didn't grow up with this stuff. I don't know all the little terminology they use. And I just can't figure out how to get half these things done. I really can't. So it's not that I don't want to do it or can't do it or whatever. I just don't know. I don't know the process. So I'm trying to figure it out. Now, I'm not really one for giving chord by chord, let's learn this song. And the reason I don't do that is not only the copyright things, but there's so many people doing it. There's so many places that I can get any information in seconds. But what we are going to talk about today is we're going to go through some of these songs. And I'm going to show you oh, that sounded like it might be in a message. So I should see. Again, I'm on my iPad, and I'm a real beginner. Oh, yeah, okay. So the first thing, you just got a guitar, you're in your 60s, go to my channel and watch the videos called you can always watch that latest video, and it's called Beginners Don't Make the Same Mistake I Did. Watch that. It gives you an idea of the strategy that I took to learn the guitar. And when I say learn the guitar, see, that's another thing, right? That kind of gets you in trouble because when you say I want to learn the guitar, people automatically assume that you want to be a professional guitar player and you want and need to know everything there is about guitar, from theory to bar chords to triads to seventh chords to suspended chords and how that's all made and how do notes make up a chord and all this kind of. And you know what? At the end of the day, we do not need to know that to accomplish what we want to accomplish, and I've said that so many times. So when I say learning the guitar, what I mean as far as this channel goes, what I mean is we want, whether we have a musical background or not, we want to be able to pick up a guitar, okay, and simply do this, right? So we want to pick up a thing, and let's say this is my favorite song, right? So I want to sit there and go, okay. How many da 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 did you call right? I just want to play and strum songs that I grew up with. That's the main goal, right? Now, for a lot of us, that's the only goal, okay? So we can sit here and we can go, all right, well, let's see what else we got. By the way, I'm using that site that I put up on my community tab, if you want to check out the links. So we have things like, I mean, some of these songs are surprising because, you know, I didn't realize that they were only 3 chords. Like, there's some songs. Like, so now we got like, well, people talking just the other day. Now, this might be a good song to talk about. All right, so this isn't a song by the Eagles, and probably not a good song to use because they're copyright hounds. But anyways, and it's like, okay, so we've got the chords. There's only 3 chords. Great. Okay. But we still got to know how to play this song, because the inner Google, unless you know how to read music, proper sheet music, which I'm sure most of us here don't, then we get the chords, we get the lyrics. Sometimes they give you a strumming pattern. Sometimes they say capo somewhere, okay? But we still have to know the melody of the song, the way it goes. So we have to rely on our knowledge of the song. That's why when someone says, hey, can you learn this song? And it's something I've never heard. Well, now this is a real task, because I've got to look, you know, we got to look at the chords. So if I took these chords from this song, right? So, well, right? And I'm going, okay, so well, right there, like that could have been any song with GCD. Right? Let's face it, it could be. You guys didn't know what I was playing. I'm just playing GCD, and it sounded like nothing, because it was nothing. So that's the missing piece. Now we got to figure out, okay, so in this case, I got to think, okay, so I have to develop. And it said, we got to go through these chords with the music in our head, right, to establish when do I switch? How long do I hold? You know, how long do I hold a chord for? Yeah, we're here every Tuesday, so thank you for that. But we're here every Tuesday for beginners and every Thursday at 3 for more advanced players, okay? So we talk about 2 different things. Today is beginner's day, so it's basic. And I'm sorry, I might have jumped ahead. I had someone ask me that question. Check out that video, you beginner, that's 10 days in. And that's the first one. The second one is, there's a video on my site. It won't be buried. It should be in the last dozen or so. And it's called "There Really Is a Secret to Playing the Guitar." If you watch those 2 videos first, you'll see what my approach is. And my approach is simple. Get these 2 hands working together. Because everywhere you go down the road, you're going to need these 2 hands. You got to develop the motor skills. If you notice just the little bit I've done, it's all relying on synergy between the left and the right. The left hand is fretting, the right hand is strumming. Eventually you'll start picking notes. You've got to be on the same strings, preferably without looking. So that's a motor skill. It's got nothing to, honestly, it's got, these people will tell you otherwise. It's got nothing to do with music. It's got nothing to do with theory and whether or not you know chords or you're a musician. It's got nothing. It's juggling is what it is, right? You're a juggler. And you've got to start getting these 2 hands like that. Until you do that, everything you want to do will be a difficult task. Because you just don't have the infrastructure. You don't have your hands, your fingers. They're not ready to go yet, Okay? So we got to start at the basics. So if you watch those 2 videos and then you do what I tell all beginners to do and what we're talking about today is pick out a favorite song of yours, one that you know when it comes on the radio, you know every drum fill, every beat, every word, every nuance to that song. Find out the chords and learn that song. And hopefully it's a simple song. And all songs can be dummied down, all songs. Some of the songs you see on the lists of the websites that I've given you, these are, again, versions of that song. They may not be the original version. They may not be what the original chords are. And I know for a fact, like there's a couple of Beatles songs on there. They very rarely did anything like G, C, D. It would have been a G minor 7 or a C add 9, or it would have been something other than just G, C, D. But G, C, D works, in place of those chords. So when you're starting out, learn 3 chords from the same key. And I give you 3 samples, right? 3 examples. G, C, D in the key of G. C, F, G in the key of C. And D, A, G in the key of D. Oh, and E, A, D, sorry, in the key of E, right? Those 3 chords, if you were to plug them into this website that I told you about and that I've put on the community tab, that anybody should be able to see, you'll be able to play all kinds of songs and very, very popular songs. And again, they may not be in their exact version, but they would be definitely categorized as easy or basic versions. And there's nothing wrong. I still play basic versions of certain songs. Okay? And for those of you that are singing or want to sing, you play the basic version on your guitar, but you sing the proper version, if that makes sense, right? So, yeah, about 50% of all music is in the key of C. So as a beginner and you want to play songs, that's a great place to start. Learn all your chords in the key of C, but start off with just the 3 major chords. C, F, G. All right? And then Google those, C, F, G, and see what kind of songs come up. And I'll bet you there's some of your favorite songs there. Use one song, learn one song, use that song as your barometer. Use that song as your baseline so that when you start playing that song, if it's a G, C, D, it might sound very like I was doing earlier on. Like you don't even know what song it is. But as you get better with your strumming, start adding a little character to those chords, right? Hello. You start adding character to those chords and it becomes a song. And that's the whole idea. So I just played you a song, but I mean, it's not a song like. Now I know this song and I'm still having trouble playing it. Now the song is from the Eagles and it's called Already Gone. And it's on the list. It's a G, C, D song, but I can't get it to sound like the song in my head. So what it's got to do with, even though I know the chords and I know the words and I know what the song is and I can hear the song in my head so vividly, I'm having trouble approaching how do I get this to sound when it's not a song that I know off by heart, but it's a song I want to play and it's a song I want to learn. Well, elbow grease. That's the way I do it. Right? Now, what's going to happen here is you're going to find that the G is going to be a certain, we're going to assume it's in a 4/4 because most songs are. It could be a 3/4, which would mean 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or it's in a 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? So I'm going to assume it's 4/4. And it starts off, well, I heard some people talking just the other day. So it looks to me like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they'll go put me on the shelf. 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the way I'm going to start it. So let's try to add some words to it. Well, I heard some people talking just the other day. Hold that C. They said you were gonna put me on the shelf, right? Tell you got some news for you. You'll soon find out it's true. Then you'll have to eat your lunch by yourself. So I'm thinking it's 2 G's, 2 D's, and 4 C's, right? Well, I heard some people talking just the other day. They said you're gonna put me on the shelf. Hold that C. Let me tell you, okay, that's the process. And it's still not sounding the way I like it. So then what I might do is I might change to just an all, I won't put a strumming pattern in. So let's try it this way. Like I might just start going, well, I heard some people talking just the other day. See, now it's starting to make more sense. It is kind of a fast-paced song, right? So if I use all, hey, I'm not sure where North Sentinel Island is, but welcome. Well, I heard some people talking just the other day. They said you were gonna put me on the shelf. And that's another thing too. Don't trust these tab sites to have the letter over the proper word that changes to. Because I'm going to tell you, more often than not, at least they're off somewhere in that song. And I got a feeling this is happening here too, right? So we have, if we do all downs, well, I heard some people talking just the other day. They said you were gonna take me on the shelf. Let me tell you, I got some news for you. And you say, I can't get it. I can't get it. Well, I heard some people talking just the other day. They said you were gonna put me on the shelf. So you see what I'm saying? This can be a nightmare, right? To find the right strum, the right amount of bars of each chord that fits to the words as you're trying to sing them. So just because someone says, hey, this is a G-C-D song, does not mean, oh, it's simple. It's only got 3 chords. I know those chords. I can knock that off. Because there's so many things about a song. I'm going to show you another example. This is also a G-C-D song, but I want to show you that it can be a little more complicated, right? So it starts off in G. To the C, right? Then we go again. She says that it's cold outside, hands me a raincoat. And she's always worried about things like that. She says that it's all gonna end now, might as well be my fault. You see that there's all kinds of, even though it's G-C-D, this is not an easy song to play because you got to know the song. You got to, nowhere will it tell you that when you Google the chords. Hello. nowhere will it tell you that. It just gives you the letters, it gives you the lyrics, it gives you, as I said, maybe a strum pattern or a capo suggestion, and that's it. So going about learning these songs, I really don't know if there is a way. Like 9 times out of 10, by playing around different ways of playing those chords, you can come up with it because it's a combination of you know the song in your head, and now you've got the chords, right? All right, let's see what we got here. If we got something a little easier to figure out. And some of these songs, like I said, I mean, you've never heard of, right? But, all right, so here we have a song in the key of G. Now, I'm almost positive this song is not in the key of G. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that a lot of songs on these websites have been, I hate to say it, dummied down. Okay? Now, in this case, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that this song is in like a D flat, or it could be A flat, but I think it's a D flat or somewhere around there. Well, you know, that's, so someone has transposed this to G, C, and D. And again, if you want to know what I'm talking about, I have a video on my site about transposing. And it comes down to the whole numbering system of the chords. And you have to know that to be able to transpose. Unless you go into a program and you transpose it through a program on the internet, absolutely. But I think, well, I know that you have to always be aware that just because, again, you saw these 3 chords on a website, it does not mean that that's the chords that these songs are written in, okay? And so, and it shouldn't matter, but sometimes it does, because when you don't know any better, and you go out to somebody's place and you go, oh yeah, that's a CDG song, and they go, what are you talking about? No, it's not. You go, oh, it is so, and then you get into a heated argument because you don't know that this, maybe where you saw the song, had been altered, okay, to allow it for easy playing. And I think the one I'm going to show you now is a sample of that. So I don't see any capos. Sometimes they put it at the bottom, like recommend use a capo. I don't know why they do that. They should put it at the beginning. But okay, so let's play this song. So you see this song on the list, and you think, hey, this is great. I get to play this song. Now it's called, this is on a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere. I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, right? Now in this case, like, I know this song. I'm sure everybody out there knows this song. But if I just played it the way I just did, it doesn't translate. Not because the chords are wrong, but because, again, there's nothing here on these sites that tell me how many I should play of the G, and should I do a strum and let the chord carry out? Is there no chords while I'm singing? That kind of stuff. So in this case, in any case, you always got to run through it, right? So, on a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep. We took turns of staring the window at the darkness, till the boredom overtook us, and he began to laugh, right? So now this one I'm getting, yeah, classical, it's different, but it's the same idea, right? The chords are different. You're going to find, I think, in classical, there's a lot more multi-finger chords, meaning chords with extensions, a lot of more sophisticated, a lot of diminished, I think, chords, so different fingering. But again, I might be wrong, but, and I find with classical, the guitar, if you're on a true classical, the guitar is a little different to play, probably a little more, I think, a little difficult. It generally has a wider fretboard, And again, sometimes you got those nylon strings, so that can be kind of off-putting. But uh, so I mean, I can see the value in going through these songs, breaking them down for somebody, putting them out there. But like I said earlier, I mean, you can find that stuff everywhere. And I don't really know if it's that beneficial for you guys, for me to spend all that time and get them out there. And is it really going to, you know, I like the idea. I was forced to learn a lot of the songs myself, okay? For this reason, because it didn't make sense to me when I got these tabs. It didn't sound like the song. It didn't sound like the right chords. It didn't sound good in my head. I didn't know how to strum, whatever. So, you know, at some point, you've got to test your metal, and you've got to you've got to get your creativity to the forefront. Even though it's someone else's songs, someone else's chord structure, you can still be creative. Yeah, I would agree with that. But you know, these are, again, it's the unsort of spoken, the missing ingredient is, hey, you've got to put some creativity into this and make it your own. You still want it to sound like the song, but maybe you don't. Maybe you change your chord at a different word than what they have on these sites, or maybe you play half a chord. They don't tell you if it's a passing chord or it's a full chord, right? So you have to sort of figure that out, right? So, on a warm summer's evening, that's why I like to start with just downs. I just find that easier, right? And then so on a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep. We took turns staring out the window. See, that's where that would mess me up right there, right? So, because I didn't know when I should change to that C. So, we took turns staring. We took turns staring out the window at the darkness tipped toward. Yeah, see, I don't know if I agree with that. But again, this is the process, right? And like, you know, I'm not here to work a whole song out here in front of you, but I want you to understand when you see these things, and that's why I'm doing this, because that's kind of the nature of today, was I wanted to elaborate on the three chords and how it's important that you start out strumming three chords, okay? And leaving, you know, enjoying the possibility of playing hundreds and if not thousands of songs right away. Now, that's not going to be the case, because unless you're a walking encyclopedia of song knowledge, I mean, I've been listening to music for 55 years or more, and I mean, you don't, like, I don't know. I've heard all kinds of songs, but I don't know them inside and out. So we started on this thing last week about learn three chords, and here's what you can do with them. And then rightly so, someone wrote and said, can you give some examples? And I thought I did in that video, or it was a live, and I thought I did, but maybe I didn't, and maybe I didn't do enough. So that's what I'm sort of starting the day off today, is I want to make sure that these things are not foolproof, and these things are not a surety that you're going to learn that song. Because if you're like me, you look at it and go, oh, hey, okay, yeah, I can do this. I know these chords. But you just either can't play it the way you want, or it should be played, or you can't sing it. And for me, it's always the singing end more than the playing end. I can figure out how to play it. Just give me some time. Might take me some time. And lastly, that's the last point I want to make, is that with these sites, don't get discouraged if after 10 minutes you can't figure it out yet. Like, that can happen. I've had songs, I've had songs, and I've done them live here. I was learning a Supertramp song one time, and I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get it for the longest time. And another one of you, I think it might have been Jerry, turned me on to a Blackberry Smoke song, and I listened to it, and he said, you know, you should learn that. Hey, thank you. And I just couldn't get it. It took me the longest time. Now I've put that song in my gig repertoire. It's called One Horse Town. And I put it in, and you would have no idea how the struggle, because I had never heard that song before. So I went through it, sort of how I thought it might sound. Then I listened to the recording, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm sort of close, but I'm not. And you're kind of trying to make it your own, but you also got to stay to the original. And it took me, honestly, about a week before I could really sit down and actually make that song out, okay? So for those of you wondering why I don't go into the whole, okay, let's play so-and-so and it's C and then it's G, I just feel that there's so many places out there, okay, that are doing that. And my approach is more, I'll talk to you about what to do with the information. I'll explain what the information is. I'll explain that you might see this different information for the same song and why you're seeing that, okay? And I'm going to explain and show you something interesting right now. That's where I come from here. But having said that, if you wanted to learn a certain song, by all means, send it to me. Send me what it is, and I'll do my best to hopefully help you break the song down so that you can learn it either with me or on your own, all right? I want to talk to you about something. It's a relationship, a musical relationship between the chords that you so often hear me talk about and why they're so important to learn, okay? Now, again, as beginners, we generally start everything white and bright, okay? So meaning everything's shining. Everything is the jewel. So in this case, we're focusing on those major chords within a key because they're the brightest, right? The three majors, the 1, the 4, and the 5. Okay, so what happens in every key, very quickly, the chords are numbered 1 to 7. We really only use 6 in general pop music and stuff of those 7 chords, okay? And that's chords 1 to 6. The 7th is something we call a diminished chord, okay? And we don't really use it that much, so we kind of ignore it, okay? And I'll explain more about that after. So if we look at the 1, 4, 5, let's say in the key of G, right? So G would be 1, A would be 2, B would be 3, C would be 4, D would be 5, and E would be 6. But the 1, 4, and 5 are major chords. The 2, 3, and 6 are always minor chords. So in the key of G, G would be 1, that's a major. A is 2, it's a minor, so it'd be A minor. B is 3, it'd be B minor. The next one is C, and it's a 4 chord, it'd be C major, and 5 is D major. E would be the minor on the 6. So 1, 4, 5 in G is G, C, D. So if we play G, C, D, all right, let's go to the next key, A, right? And let's look at the 1, 4, 5. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. So now we have A and D are the major chords, and E is the 5th. Okay? So we have, in the key of A, we have A, D, and E is our 1, 4, 5. A, D, E. Now remember we just did this, all right? G, C. Now in the 1, 4, 5 in A is G. A. Or E. A. Again. G. All right, now I could go on and do this for every key and play only the 1, 4, 5 chord. And what you should have noticed is that it sounds the same, just higher or lower. So the relationship of the song is the same. So therefore, if we have a song that goes, I went down to the local store for you, and we move it to another key, then it becomes, I went down to the store for you. Back to the original, I went down to the local store for you. I went down to the local store for you. Cool. So, what did you notice there? Well, it was really the same, right? It sounded the same. It was just, as I said, either higher or lower. I went down to the local store for you. So this is in the key of C. I went down to the local store for you. Key of A. I went down to the local store for you. Key of C. It's all the same, just higher or lower, right? So A would be low, A, key of B, key of C, key of D, key of E, key of F, key of G, A, B, and it just keeps going and going. So if you play the same relative chords in each key, that's why a lot of times you'll hear about the Nashville numbering system. They actually number, so you're playing a 1, 4, 5, 2 chord progression. Well, what does that mean? Well, in the key of C, a 1, 4, 5, 2 would be this. C is 1, 1, right? Now we know what the 4 is, F, F, G is 5, D minor is 2. So the chord progression would be 1, C, or F, G, D minor. So C, F, G, D minor. And that's the relevance of the numbers. So that if I went to another key and I played 1, 4, 5, 2. So in B, or in A, sorry, it would be 1, A, D, E. Now what's the 2 chord in A? It would be B, and it's a minor because it's not a major. It's not a 1, 4, 5. So it would be B minor. So my new chord progression would be A, D, E, B minor. So in C, it would be C, F, G, A minor. Or, B minor. Sorry. But you see my point? Those are, so the chord progression will sound the same, but it'll just be, again, higher or lower. Right? So that's why, you know, we can see a song like this, right? Yeah, cool. Thank you. Will do. Hope it helps and glad it helps. So here's the song, right? That's now we can play it in another key, right? Right? So the original. And the new one. Same, but again, different. So there's a few songs, I haven't gone through the whole list because there's like 200 or 300 of them on there, but there are a few songs like that one that I've noticed, even though it's a C, G-D song, you can also play it as a D-A-G song. Well, I mean, heck, you could play it as anything. You could play it as in the key of A too. You can play it as a, you know, an ADE song, right? And that's what I want you to understand. So the reality is, a lot of people, me included, I will change the key of a song because of my voice. Now, generally when I do it, I'm using a capo, right? So let's look at what we just did, but this time we're going to use a capo. So we started off playing G, C, and D, right? I went to the corner store. If I put a capo on 2, right? And I play G, I went to a corner store. You notice, you can hear I had to raise my voice higher to stay with the chords, even though I'm playing G, C, D, but I got a capo on 2. So G, C, D with a capo on 2 is what? Well, it's this, right? A, D, E, A, D, E, G, C, D, C, F, G. Same. Just, again, higher or lower. So in this case, instead of saying, okay, I get it, it's in G, C, and D, I'm going to play it lower. So I'm going to play it in the key of A. So I just switch my chords and play 3 different chords, right? A, D, E. Now, why would I use a capo? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, right, and you know why I'm asking what I'm asking, right? I'm playing G, C, D, but I think that it might be a little high for me. So I'm going to drop the key, or I'm going to raise the key, whichever way you want to go, okay? I'm going to change the key, and I'm going to change it to A. So now I'm going to play the 1, 4, 5 in A, right? A, D, E, but I may still not be satisfied. It may not suit my voice. So if I go back to putting a capo on, but back to the original chords, G, C, D, yes, I'm playing an A, D, E, right? So if I took this off, play A, it's a different sounding voicing, okay? So capo 2, A, D, E, A, D, E, A, D, you see, slightly different. So we're able to, I'm going to show you another reason too. We're able to play in the key that we want, yet still play the chords that we're familiar with. So if we're a GCD person, and I'm asked to play a song AED, technically I could just put a capo on 2 and continue playing GCD, because I play that the best, right? The difference in the voicing is so minimal because, remember, whenever we use a capo or a bar chord, okay, where we bar, what we're doing is we're moving this nut up, right? This part of the guitar, we're moving it up. So now the end of the guitar isn't here. What I play behind the capo isn't going to be a melodic note or chord. Just like when I don't have a capo, anything I play here is just noise. It's not a chord, or just nothing musical about it. So it's naturally going to sound a little sharper or higher because, well, we've got shorter strings now. And look at a mandolin. It's only this big, right? A mandolin is this big, or those other ones, ukuleles, and you get, right? You get like the higher tone. So if I move my capo here, I'm almost playing a mandolin. Because I've shortened the strings, right? That's it. So there's two ways to approach it. Now, what I recommend is you learn all your 1-4-5s in every key. That gives you the ability to change keys, albeit in a basic fashion, because this will only help you when you're playing those 3-chord songs that are the major chords, the 1-4-5s. You can move them and play them G, C, D, A, right? A, D, E, whatever we did, D, A, G, etc. That's because they're 1-4-5s, right? Or you can use a capos. So, for example, in that one song by CCR on this website, and this is the last I'll mention this, but just so you guys completely understand that the information on these sites can be deciphered in many ways and used in many ways and even changed or manipulated in many ways to suit you once you understand that. Right now, just play the darn thing, and if it doesn't feel right in your ear and you're questioning it, you're probably right. And you should, what I did was find out why it doesn't sound right. And this is why. Everything we're talking about now is why it doesn't sound right. And here's an example. If we wanted to play that song, the Creedence song, right? This one here. All right, let's say, for example, we don't know how to play an A chord. We don't want to play an A chord. Or this is just too low for our voice. Well, what we can do is we can take our capo and we can find this may not be enough, right? So if we do this, this will do. And that doesn't solve the fact that we don't know how to play A, because it's relying on us playing A, and all the capo is doing is moving this D to the key of E, making it higher to sing. Okay, but it didn't solve the fact that we don't know how to play an A. So how do we get around that A? Okay, now of course we would learn it, but I'm just giving you an example here. So if I move the capo 3, 6, let's try 7. If we do that, and we play the chords from this site, the GCD site, okay? So that was, I think, that is when the rising, da 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 da. Okay? So now I'm playing the G, C, D that I not only know how to play, but it's in a higher register for me, higher than if I just put the capo 2 and played. Because I don't think it sounds very familiar there. Okay, you're much better playing the D, A, G. But again, you may not know how to play A. You see what I'm saying? These are all things that, again, they don't tell you or show you here. But you have options, okay? So the main thing about Googling a song for me, now this is me, maybe I've been doing it a little longer and stuff, but for me, the main thing is just to get, I like to try to get the original vibe or feel of the song. Usually that means the original key. Once I've got the original key, then I can take a test drive through it and see if there's things I don't like. What might I not like? I might not like certain chords that I have to play in that key because I don't know them or I don't play them well. Or from the vocal end of it, I may not like the fact how my voice sounds with this chord progression voicing that I'm doing. So again, my options are play the same chords, but just use a capo to move it up 2. That's 1 key. 4 would be 2 keys. So if the original is in C and I put a capo on 4, I'm actually now playing in E, right? C, up 2 is D, and up 2 more, that's 4 to the E. But I'm still playing the same chords, G, C, D, or C, G, F, or whatever those chords are that are in my comfort zone. But I'm actually going to be in the key of E. So that's one way that we can manipulate these songs. And the other way is to play the original, whatever chords you get here, but use your capo to manipulate the sound, right? So we've got G, C, D. We slap a capo on 2, and we play G, C, D. Play, go up 2 more, G, still playing G, C, D, but now I'm playing B. Now I'm playing D, I'm playing B, E, F. Right? Oh, sorry, F sharp. See how it works? And that's what you have to take into consideration when you go to these websites. Now, some of those songs are spot on, absolutely. But a lot of them aren't. They've been rigged to come up in G, C, and D and play them in G, C, and D. Because, again, everyone likes to cater to beginners. Right? Because that means more people can play the song. More people can get use out of the information by changing that song to beginner's chords. Now, when I say beginner's chords, all I really mean is that there's, again, the most basic chords we can play. The G's, the D's, the C's, even like A minor would be considered an open chord, but it may not be considered a basic chord, right? We tend to look at those 1, 4, 5s if it's major. Now, if it's a minor key, then the 1, 4, 5 are minor chords, and the 2, 3, 6 are major chords. Actually, the 2 is a diminished. Sorry. So the 1, 4, 5 would be minor, right? And the 3 and 6 would be major, and the 2 would be a diminished. But that's for another day, right? So, again, last about these sites, they're great. They're great as a guideline. They're great to get you going. But I don't know if I would rely on them to be, if I had to be 100% accurate. What I would do is I would put the record on, or the CD, or get it on Spotify, and I would play the chords to the music and make sure that it sounds right, right? And you know what I'm talking about. You listen to your ear, and it all sounds in synergy. But if you get those weird, sour chords and stuff, then you know that something's wrong. And that can be difficult too, because especially years ago when they recorded to tape in analog studios, a lot of times they would speed up or slow down the tape to bring the key up or down to match the singer, or just to screw with us. Okay? And believe me, it can be like that. Someone sat in the control room, usually the singer, and he goes, "Hey, I'm not happy." Everybody's going, "Hey, that was awesome." And he's going, "I'm not happy. I'm not happy." So they, instead of redoing the song. They just slowed the tape down or sped it up to make it higher, right? That was an old trick of the trade. So on those old songs, sometimes, and then there's times where they'll play in a drop D tuning. So even though they're playing a G chord and a C chord, when you watch them, it's not going to sound like a G chord because this G note is actually not a G. Okay, they've tuned this down half a step. So you could be F sharp instead of G, and that changes the complexity or the. No, I'm a nobody. I'm an absolute nobody. That was to a question to ask if I was famous. No, I'm not famous. And I always say, I always tell people, if you comment on my videos and like or subscribe to my channel, you tell YouTube, well, thank you. You tell YouTube that I'm a somebody. And I always say, even though we all know I'm a nobody. That's okay. No, I'm not famous. I'm just a guy like you. I taught myself to play guitar. I went through years of ups and downs, 3 years, and somebody complained on, I had this troll this week, and so they were saying, why do you say it's so excruciating? You must be no good, or you don't know what you're doing. Well, that's why I think the person was young, because when I say that things like excruciating techniques, what I meant, and I know most of you or a lot of you can relate, bar chords for me were just horribly excruciating to play. It hurt my hand, it hurt my wrist, and there are just certain chords. There are just certain chords or certain ways you finger things that I just can't do because of pain. I've got some arthritis in my knuckles. My wrist is bad. The back of my hand starts to swell up after if I play too many bar chords. People don't understand that, right? So they see you and they see what you're saying and they don't understand why you're saying that. And I'm saying it because I know there's a lot of you out there that have limitations in your hand movements due to age, due to injury. That's the reality. It doesn't mean, so these trolls would just say, okay, if you can't play it right, put your guitar down and don't play. That's what they're basically saying. And I'm saying, well, thank you so much. And I'm saying, no, you don't have to do that, because there are ways we can play songs in easy to play chords. We can use a capo to make things easier. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. You're just peeing off those self-appointed guitar snob gods, okay? And there's no matter what it is, okay? If I was doing cooking instructions right now, there would be some idiot that's going to come on and say, that's not the way you saute onions. This is the way, because they have the right way. You see what I mean? And that, people, this is just not true. So for those of you wondering, because it sounds like there's some new people out here today, who I am, again, I'm a nobody, but I'm someone that at age 50 wanted to learn how to play guitar. Something I've always wanted to do, but I had no background, no musical background, I knew nothing. And I mean, I knew less than nothing. I was so bad and so naive that in the book that I used to learn Guitar for Dummies, when they talked about the capo, they said, for whatever reason, put it on 4, okay? And now we're going to play that C chord. I honestly did this. And I said, well, I don't know if I notice a difference. Am I supposed to hear something? And I couldn't understand. And the reality is, in case you can't see, I'm supposed to play in front of the capo. Oh, that's how naive and green I was. So I hacked around and I didn't know what to do. Okay? And I know a lot of you have heard this before, so I'll be real quick. Just because you want to learn guitar does not mean you have to know everything that they teach you in the Berklee School of Music or every single possible thing there is to know about this guitar. You don't. What you should be focusing on is what you need to learn to do what you want to do. And I won't stop saying that, okay? Well, thank you so much. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. And that is so important. So instead of doing it this way, which seems to be I did what you did. I went on YouTube. What was his name? Marty, that guy. Great. I thought, hey, great. He's showing me how to play songs. That's great. But unfortunately, it was still too over my pay grade. I needed something dumber. I needed someone talking to me like I was an absolute idiot, right? Okay, and that was, that I couldn't find it anywhere. I found somebody started out explaining it, and then all of a sudden they went off on a lower the fourth, lower the third. Now I got to flatten that third. Now if I flatten the third, now I got a minor chord. Now if I got a minor chord, I can play this scale, and I'm like, stop, okay? Because I didn't know what I was supposed to know or not know as a beginner. So I'm watching YouTube and someone says, oh, got to learn your scales, got to learn your scale. Oh, got to learn your triads, got to learn these triads, play triads, got to do that. So I didn't know, so I'd say, okay, well, got to know bar chords, got to learn bar chords. So I'd spend months, trying to perfect my bar chords, and they were hard, and it hurt me. I quit. So you see, that's how I was developed. So I was like, okay, there's got to be an easier way. Now, if anybody would have just tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Ray, let's stop for a second, okay? Instead of you fitting into the mold of the guitar, make the guitar fit to your mold. So in other words, instead of learning all these things on guitar that I never used and never will use, ask yourself what you want to do with your guitar and learn the things that you can learn, that can make you do what you want to do, okay? I'm sure many of you out here drive a car, right? Okay. How many of you that drive a car every single day know how to rebuild the engine? Or can tell me how your transmission works? Or can explain the functions and the key points of your cooling system? Or can show me a diagram of your wiring system in your car? And I'm betting that 90-something% of you out there that drive cars don't know how to do any of that stuff, including me. All I need to know to drive my car, all you need to know to drive your car, where do I put the gas? What are those two pedals on the floor? How do they work? What is the relevance? And I kind of figured out that it all works with the steering wheel. So now I know how to turn my car. I know how to go with my car. I know how to stop my car. And I know how to turn my car on. And when I run out of gas, I know where to put the gas. And that's all you need to know, right? And you can drive your car for 30, 40, 50 years. You can drive your car the rest of your life, anywhere you want to go, right? That's the reality. So the way I look at it is, hey, I want to play some 3-chord songs, some 4-chord songs. I want to play songs I hear on the radio. All right. Do I have, now we've just searched songs, G, C, and D. in the most simplistic way. Do I have to know what notes are in those chords and how those chords are made and the theory behind the G chord? Oh, wow. Okay, G chord, well, it's the first, the third, and the fifth note in the key, right? And if you flatten the third, then you get a minor version of it. I don't need to know that, dude. Okay? Because someone's going to say, Ray, you got to play a G, C, and D. There's your G. Learn it. There's your C. Learn it. There's your D. Learn it. Learn how to play these. And I know I keep using these three chords. It's just because of the simplicity nature of the explanation. That's all I need to do. And once I know how to play those three chords, I can play all kinds of songs. Right? Okay. It's the same with your car. It's the same with, you can apply that theory to anything. There's so many things that we do, that we rely on every day, that we don't know anything about. So why do I have to know every single miserable technique there is just so that I can take a test? Just so that someone can say, you're rated grade 4. Just so some self-appointed guitar god snob can look at me and tell me how useless I am, or why I'm an idiot because I don't know this and that. Like those people that say, when you say, okay, I want to use, I don't want to play bar chords, so I'll use my capo to play a song like this. Okay? So if I put my capo on 2, now I can play that same song like this. And then someone, and there's always one, that says, oh, just learn the frickin' bar chord. Don't be lazy. Don't be stupid. Whatever. Right? Well, you know what? I happen to think this way is easier. It sounds just as good, if not better. And you know what? Not that it's any of your business, but I can't play a certain bar chord or I can't do a certain thing, so I'm using a workaround. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. I've done hundreds of gigs all over the place. Bars, coffee shops, bistros, piano bars, whatever. And I have never had anybody come up to me and say, hey, that was a good song you did. Oh, I'm just wondering, why didn't you play the B minor? Why did you use a capo on this song? Why did you play? Nobody has ever said anything like that. Right? So, look, there was some people that asked about being a beginner. Right? So there was someone asked about, being a beginner. Well, look, sit down and say, what do I want from my guitar? What do I want to do with it? And again, for a lot of us, we just want to play songs. We want to enjoy ourselves. For me, learning this guitar or learning to play the guitar the way I needed and wanted to play it, what I wanted out of it, it really changed my life. Okay? It added to me, it added, never mind the whole self-confidence, perseverance. You've accomplished something difficult, and it is difficult to learn the guitar. It put something in my life that was always there, which was a love of music from the outside as a listener, to be able to listen to songs since I was 8 years old. I grew up in the 70s. We had the best music, right? We had it. And now I can sit down and play those songs. the medicinal end of things, when I'm stressed out or uptight or upset, I can pick up my guitar, right? Well, yeah, I mean, look, for me, it's about getting the job done, right? Uh, and my issue is I can play all the bar chords. I just can't play them for very long. Like I can't play songs where it's all bar chords. I because after the first song, like the back of my hand is just throbbing. And I don't know if it's just anybody out there have had those issues. It just kills me. And I get like after a while, I remember one gig and I ended up playing, I don't know, about 3 or 4 songs out of 6 that were bar chords or predominantly bar chords, right? And uh, for me, it's like, who is this clown? Oh, yeah, Vladdy Gaddy, get lost. Uh, See you later. Um, so it's like, I think for me and for all of you, it should be making the guitar work for you, not making you fit the guitar. So if you were to sit down and say, I want one day to be in a touring band. I would love to be a session musician, a sought after guitar player that people would want to me to play on their albums. I want to, have a life in music. I want to teach music at a school. I want to, whatever. Okay? Then your approach and your guitar journey will be different to mine, which will be different to his, hers, and hers. Right? I have no aspirations of playing at Madison Square Gardens. I have no aspirations of being in a touring rock band. I have no aspirations of going into a studio and working there 5 days a week. It's not what I'm in. I don't want that. I just want to play my damn guitar and play some songs and have some fun and entertain people. That's it. So all of you should have an idea of what you want out of this. And if you do want a career in music, oh yeah, for sure. Okay, I can show you that. If I want a career in music, if I want a career in sport, if I want a career in television, if I want a career as a chef, if I want a career as an electrician, I have to learn the craft inside and out. Would you not agree? If I just want to cook on the weekends and be known as, hey, Ray's a good cook, yeah, or Ray can fix that because he's not a licensed electrician, but he knows he's wired our whole house, he knows what's going, blah, 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 right? Then my approach may be different. Okay? So that's the thing. I may not know how to fix certain part of your engine of your car, but I know how to change the oil and I know how to do a tune-up and I can do certain things. But that's not going to get me a job in the automotive business. You have to know things, but I can go out and fix my buddy's car or fix my own car with a bit of help. And here, you see, I really hope you guys understand that. It's so important because you are going to run across people like I do quite a bit. People that are always on you because you're not official, like you're not showing, I can't even explain it. So again, make sure the guitar works for it works for you, not you for it. See what your end goal is and then set about a strategy. And if you don't know what it is, email me, ask me, say, hey, Ray, this is what I want to do on guitar. What do you recommend I do? Like, what do you recommend I learn? Like, where should I go for this? What should I do? So again, if you want a career in music, you need to learn everything. You need to learn all your theory. You got to learn all your techniques. You got to learn different ways to play the same thing. You got to learn your intervals. You got to learn your theory, your strumming, your timing. You got to learn everything to be a master of your craft. Okay? X's and O's. Yeah. I wish I had a diagram. So we're going to have to go by, all right, so let's take the D chord, for example. You'll see those strings, right? And I'm sure you know what the dots mean. I'm sure you know what the dots mean. The dots are where you put your finger. Okay, so when you see the D chord, they'll have dots where you place your fingers, and they'll have numbers in them. And that's the recommended finger to use on each dot. Okay, now some diagrams, one of those dots might have a circle around it, or an X through it, or it might be a different color. And what they're saying is that's the root note. Okay? So the D chord, for example, is made of the note A, F sharp, and D. And then we have the open D that we play here. So this D right here where my ring finger is, it'll say 3. But it also might be a different color, or it might have a circle around it to indicate that that's a D note, root note of a D chord. Okay? Now, as we look at the other strings on the diagram, you're going to find that there's an X right here, and an X right here, and an O right here. Okay? They'll appear at the end of the strings. The X means don't play those strings. So if I'm playing a D chord, I don't do this. I don't play all the strings. I only play the strings that I'm fretting or that are 0, open. So there'll be an X and an O. So in the D chord, you will see X, X, O, and then you will see the dots. So when you look at it, you are only going to play from that open O down. A lot of times you will see guitar players, if they're playing a C, okay? Now on a C, this would be X'd out. The 6th string would have an X. Then you would see the dot here, the dot here. Then you would see a string that's got an O on it. That means it's played open. So we're not fretting it, we're just strumming it. And then you would see your dot on the 2nd fret of the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Now this dot here might be a different color because it's a root note, it's a C note. And this dot here might be the same because it's a C note. So we'd have an X, you'd have the dot where your finger is on this one, you'd have a dot where your finger is on this one, you'd have an O because we play that one open, you'd have a dot here for this one, and then depending on the type of C chord, you're either going to have an O here for open, or you're going to have a dot because they want you to dot at the C, at the 3rd fret. This is a pain with the... Yes, well, we try to do that here. Thanks for your comment. Yeah, I think it is important information for beginners because for everything we just talked about, for the fact that, you know, we don't know what's going on. So let's cut to the chase and get us playing right away. And the rest we'll figure out. So I just want to make sure that, right? So every time you see those charts, that's what it means. Now, a lot of times, like a C chord, right? You'll see your dots and you'll see the X here. Okay? Now, because this, as a beginner, can be a difficult chord to play. First of all, the fingering, right? You got to skip that one string, got to land just right, okay? But the other thing is you have to strum from the 5th down, right? Because this string has an X on it, so you can't just go like that, right? Okay. So you'll see and as you get better, you'll notice some guitar players, when they play a C, you see my thumb? Yeah, I think that was a pretty good comment. Let me just go and check it out. I got to address this whole YouTube on the iPad thing because I don't know why my messages are not staying up. Yeah, okay. Judy, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right, but let me give you another end of that. I'm just going to finish this C explanation. In order to ensure, like if I strum this string that's got an X on it, all right, don't worry, the ceiling isn't going to open up and you're going to get swallowed up or nothing like that. Nothing like that is going to happen. But what you're doing, for the purist out there, is you're altering the voicing of the chord, because you're getting this E in before the root note C, right? So what you'll see as you get better is you'll use your thumb, and you'll put your thumb here like this to mute out that string. See, here's how it sounds when it's not, and here's how it sounds when it's muted. Just in case, the odd time in the heat of the battle, your fans are reaching for you, grabbing you by the pant leg from the side of the stage, and you mishit. If you've got it muted out, it doesn't really affect the chord. Okay, that's what those X's for, and there are ways moving forward that you can learn to subtly mute out a string if you don't want it to ring. Like if you're playing a C and you don't want that high E to ring, you can just touch it with your pinky, or you can touch it with the underside of this finger so that it doesn't ring if you hit it. You don't get that. Okay? If you have any more questions about the X's and O's, but it's pretty simple, right? Like once you see it, it's like, oh, yeah, I get it now, all right? About the comment about the songs, yeah, that can definitely be right, especially if the song that you're learning is complicated. Like it's not a basic, simple campfire, la la, 4 down, 4 down, 4 down, up and down, and we change chords every 4 or whatever, or every 8, and everything is symmetrical. But the other thing you'll hear people say is learn a song right away. Now, okay, so I don't mean learn 30 songs right away. Learn one song that you know inside out from top to bottom, and play it as soon as you can transition the chords that are in it, right? Because that's, again, I always say, if you know this, that's a C chord. That doesn't mean you know how to play a C chord. It means you know what it is. That's my opinion. And that's a D chord. I know a D chord, but it doesn't mean I know how to play it. In order to say you know how to play it, you've got to be able to transition in and out of that chord flawlessly. C, D, C, D, right? Now you know how to play C and D, because you can transition to them and away from them with no errors. Okay, so we learn a song, and it's a song that we've known for years, and we've heard it thousands of times. We know it. The reason we do that is to kind of give us a base example of what we should be sounding like. Okay, so here's a song. What song am I playing? Well, it could be anything, okay? As we get better, not with this hand, but with our right hand, this is what makes music. And as we get better with that hand, the left hand's still going to do the same thing. So watch my left hand again. I did the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing as I just did. But listen to the difference. got a smile that it seems to me he reminds me of childhood memories, and everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. Okay? Two different outcomes. Same three chords. Same left hand strumming. Didn't do anything different. The only difference was this hand. So, where the importance of learning a song is that you know 100% is using that song to gauge your progress, really, especially with the right hand. Because, I remember with me the first time, so this is the third time that I've taught myself guitar, and this is the approach that I'm telling you that I started to take. Say, that's it. I'm going to learn a few open chords, and I'm just going to play music until I can play those chords backwards, forwards, inside out. And I'm going to play them round the clock. And I remember going to my first little buddy's, kitchen party and thinking, oh, I am going to knock them out with this song. They're going to go, Ray, you're learning songs. Oh, my God. And I started playing a song. Now, in my head, I'm hearing the drums, the bass, the vocal, the melody. I'm hearing it all, right? So I'm playing whatever it was. So it wouldn't have even sounded that good. It would have been like this. It would have been... whatever, right? And I'm watching them, their face, and they're like... So I finish, nobody knows what I just played. And I'm in my head thinking, come on, guys, don't you know this song? You got to know it. Because I didn't yet know that there were, again, thousands of songs that share that chord progression. And I got to do something to make that song stand out, right? So why do all these songs have the same chord progression? How does that work? Well, it works because that's only the foundation. That's the foundation, right? On top of those chords, C, G, D, we might as well stick with that. On top of C, G, D, or however order they're played in, you've got a melody, okay? So a chord is bum, dum, 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 dum. Then over the chord, right? In C, let's say we're playing the C chord. In C, the melody would start on a C note and it would go bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, dum, bum, bum. But we're still just playing that C chord. And then the other song in C would have a C melody starting on a C note that goes and now all of a sudden we got two different songs with two different melodies over the same chords. That's how it all works. And then not only is there a melody, not only is there a melody, like the other instruments in the band are playing a melody over the chords, then there's a vocal melody. So the vocalist will also put something a little different in the vocals, but in the same key so that it sounds right. And that's how it's all put together. So without those, at least one upper melody, this is just a chord progression. And that's why I tell all you guys that songs are just chord progressions with something added. And at first, you're right. Don't worry about, you can't replicate the melody yet, if ever. That can be done by your voice, by your harmonica, by the other guitar player called a lead guitar player, by the keyboard player, by another vocalist. They have the opportunity to lay things on top of your foundation of chords as a guitar player, as a rhythm guitar player. Right? So that's why all these songs can share the same chords, because there's other stuff happening on top of those chords that make it individual. Right? So why, you know, again, why now on to your point about the songs, yes, you need to have, like, before you can play anything, you've got to have the basics. You've got to know your chords. Got to be able to change between 2, 3 chords, 4 chords, whatever. The more the better, right? The more chords you can play seamlessly, the more your repertoire will grow of songs, because there are songs, many with 4 in them, 5 chords, 6 chords. They might have 4 chords in the verse and 2 or 4 different chords in the chorus. Like it's endless. So yeah, before you can play songs, you've got to be able to transition your chords, and you've got to have a basic idea of strumming and how it works. And we've covered that not only in the lives here, in the first few lives for beginners, but it's also, there's a few good videos on my site about strumming. Hey, Denver, nice. Go Broncos. So yeah, so in your case, your point is absolutely valid. You cannot play songs unless you can strum the chords, like play the chords, transition to and from the chords, okay? And you have to have a basic idea of strumming, rhythm, tempo, and what all that is and how to apply it. And then, yeah, you learn a song, and that becomes your bass song, or 2 songs. I wouldn't go nuts. I wouldn't go out and start thinking you got to know a dozen songs, because you don't, not to begin. But you do, it does help when you're working on your right hand especially. It does help to have a song in your head that's a little challenging, maybe, like some of the ones that Eagles song now that we opened up the show with. It's not a song that's probably 4 Cs, 4 Ds, 4 Es, 4 Cs, 4 D. It's not. It's probably got a little, there's 4 on the D, but there's 8 on the G, and there's 4 on the C, and then there's 8 on the D, and it changes, right? Because that's how songs are written. And if everything was the same, then all songs would sound the same. So some of them hold the G for 8, some hold for 4, some do 16 on the G, and then they move to the D for 4 or 8 or 16 or 2 or whatever. And every song is different. So yeah, you're right. You cannot play a song unless you know how to transition between at least 2 chords and as many as 4, right? And you can't play that song if you don't know your strumming, if you don't have any kind of timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You need that, definitely, before you can start playing songs. And remember, then my point kicks in where, okay, now I know how to play a song, but it sounds like this. But I'm going to use that to make it sound, oh, okay. See, all I'm doing here, the only difference I'm doing here to when I started is I've got a little bit of a different strum going, and I'm using my pinky here, I call it the pinky D, to kind of just add a little, she got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of da 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 da. Right? That's all I'm doing. It's all coming. All the attitude is coming from this hand, and that's what I mean. That's why it's good, because when you're listening to the song, some people will say, try to think of your right hand, use it as the cymbal of the drums, or whatever, a keyboard run or a bass run or something like that. And I never really understood what that meant. And I'm not saying I completely do now even, right? But I think basically what they're trying to say is, yes, use your right hand. Like, look, that's just what am I doing here? Well, I don't know, I'm going down, but when I come up, I'm palm muting the ups. Right? or I'm only taking this string coming up. That's all I'm doing. And when you put it all together, you can add a funky kind of something, like a guy sitting on the, you know, with the boot box, with the, right? Something like that you can add with your strumming. And I think that's what they mean. And I agree with that 100%, right? Is you remember when you listen to those records, man, they could have 10 musicians on them. They could have 4 tracks of nothing but that same guitar so that it sounds thicker and better. And then they always have a guy, you know, when you hear that, you know, you hear this kind of thing happening, then you hear something like in between, right? And then they play a chord, then you hear, all right, that's not the same guy. That's someone else doing that. And it's hard for us to do that. It can be, yeah, for sure, because it's a touch and feel thing. I kind of find it easy because of like that. I find it harder to work with the high strings for some reason. But again, we're all different. But yeah, sure. So we've just taken this D chord from this, you know, to by doing 2 things. Some kind of percussive, muty kind of strumming where watch me play the D. I think you can see, right? Watch my bottom part of these fingers here. Watch this part of my hand. So here's a regular D, just letting the pick go through, right? Now here's what I'm doing. Like I'm just using this part of my hand just to kill that high string, and you just get a feel for it. And then in conjunction with that, I'm just doing little hammer-ons with my pinky, the pinky D. How's that one go? It goes, this thing called love. But that's little techniques like that. Later, as you move forward, you will incorporate into your basic everyday chord playing and strumming to wring every possible thing out of your open chords before you move on to something more advanced. And again, my theory and what I do and what I tell you about, which is what worked for me, was the theory of perfecting the little bit that I know and then mushrooming that slowly but surely, right? Yeah, D was one of the, actually D was one of the last chords that I learned. I found it a little difficult and it hurt. That little thin string I found was hard on my hard on my fingertips until I got hard there. Yeah, I agree. D can be, we all have our kryptonite chord, right, that we hate to play, other than bar chords, but we all have that one chord. Mine is the E. I hate playing an E major. I don't know what it is. I'm okay with E minor. For the longest time, I kept putting my finger down on the wrong. So here's my E minor, and I kept putting my finger on the same string as this finger's on. So I wasn't really playing, I was still playing an E minor. It's just something about that string, which is the G string right there. I just always missed it. I do this a lot. I go, that's not right. Got the wrong. We all have our thing. Once I learned D, I kind of liked it. D. And what I like about D is I love this. that I can just pluck those strings at random, and they sound cool. Like they sound like I'm playing, like, you know, they sound like I'm playing like a lead guitar or something. I like the D, but I get it. I get it. So for me, that would be the E. Don't like E. But I'm learning to appreciate E. So, all right. So yeah, like, look, when you're starting out, like, it's so important, and I say this every week, don't look too far ahead. Don't get pulled in all these directions, okay? Learn 3 chords. Use those 3 chords as a chord progression to practice, as you mentioned, about before you play songs. Use those 3 chords to perfect your movement, right? Your strumming, your timing, all that stuff. Then pick a song, use that song, and then from there, it's really up to you, right? Now, don't think, again, that you have to, all these fancy videos, you don't have to do all that. You truly don't have to worry about things like the bar chords and the power chords and triads and scales. You just don't. Now, for some of us, you never will. Either because you don't want to, or it's possible that you just can't. And you don't want to put the time in to go to that next level. And that's nothing wrong with that. We've already proven that with just 3 chords, you can play more songs than you're ever going to need. You'll be able to sit down at a party and entertain all night with the amount of songs that you can play with whatever 3 chords you decide. Of course, you're going to get better, right? So you add an A minor, you add an E minor, you add a D minor. Now you've exponentially increased the amount of songs that you have access to play. So you should never run out of songs, right? F, yeah, but that F's a killer. But luckily we got the cheater F, and I'll go through that for those of you that don't know it. So if you go nowhere other than 3 chords and a bunch of songs that you can play anywhere, what's wrong with that? Now, for the other, some of you, and this was probably me, I realized I didn't want to just be a 3-chord player or a 4-chord player and play those basic songs. I wanted more, right? When you want something, you'll learn it. You'll do it. When you think you're being forced, oh, the A? Okay, yeah, the A, I guess you're learning it this way. That's how the beginner's way, or that's the way, I mean, I still play my A like this a lot. Depending on what the issue is, if your fingers are really big, you might want to try just using 2 fingers to fret 3 strings. By pushing down and letting your fingers fan out a bit, you can grab those 3 strings with just 2 fingers. Or you might want to try the 1-finger bar. And don't bar it this way. Bar it like in a 45 up here. So have your finger pointing up here and bar across those 3 strings. That would be the optimal way, because then when you, which is about what I'm going to say now, when you realize you do not want to stop at being an open chord player, that you want to progress, okay? You want to add notes, you want to add bar chords, you want to add other things. When you want to learn that, you will learn it, because you'll be motivated to learn it, right? When we're beginners and we don't know any better, we're being forced. Someone is telling us on YouTube or books or whatever, wherever you go, someone's saying, okay, you got to learn this. So we feel we have to learn it when you really don't have to learn it. Okay? Yeah, if I think that was Jeff, right? And I believe, are you on electric, Jeff? Because that could be part of it too, right? If I was you, if you're talking about electric, or if you just have a how would you say it, larger fingers, I think I would probably go with this one finger bar. Takes a little bit. You got to you got to jiggle. You got to get in there and make sure that you get just that. Yeah, so the other one is to play a D shape. So let's take the D shape and move it there and play it there. That might be too crowded for you too. But that's another one. That way you've got your ring finger on the root, right? And then you can come off of that and you can do a little... Yeah, I mean, you could play it that way, but that's something you're going to have to play with. I mean, there's only so many ways. At the end of the day, we got to fret those 3 strings in the same fret. And how you accomplish that's up to you. I've seen guys do it that way with the D. I've seen guys do it this way with the way we're taught, right? Then I've seen them do it with 2 fingers, right? For me, it was the F, because one of the reasons I tell people, don't look too far ahead in your early part of your journey, because you can get really overwhelmed and intimidated and you could be put off. And that's what happened to me, right? So I had been floating along. I was learning a couple of chords, and I was okay. I'd only been playing a few weeks, some chords, and I was okay. I knew it was going to be tough. My fingers were sore, hadn't got the calluses, all that stuff. And there was no surprises. And I used a book called Guitar for Dummies, and one day I made a mistake, and I opened up, grabbed a bunch of pages and just opened the book, and I looked and I saw this picture of the F chord, okay? And I'm like, what is that? And I tried to replicate it. So they give you a picture just of this part of the fretboard. And I saw this, right? And then this, and then these things over here, and now I have my elbow out here, right? Because that's how, I'm playing open chords. So I'm trying to do this, and I'm like, I can't do it. Not only can I not do it, I don't think I'll ever be able to do it. So that was in my head. No F. I can't do this. Then I started to doubt further. Well, if I can't do that, what else am I going to come across that I can't do? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe they're right, that you have to be born with it. Maybe because I've never had any exposure to music, I shouldn't be doing this. Okay? Maybe I shouldn't be doing it. And it was in my head that I was set up to fail. But when I look at it now, there's so many reasons why that wasn't going to work. First and foremost, I had no mechanics. Right? I had no proper mechanics. I didn't know that I should be tucking my elbow in. So that forces my hand up instead of this way, right? It makes it easier to spread your fingers. Secondly, I didn't understand that my fingers aren't used to having to be spread out like this. Nothing in my life I have to stretch my fingers and be precise and perfect so that a sound, look, doesn't ring out. Right? Nothing in my life. So I didn't realize that it takes time, and your fingers will adjust. You will find a way to reach those notes. But because I wasn't using any of that, no proper technique, I just found that impossible. So that was a black mark. And it wasn't until way later that I found the cheater F, which I play today, which I also use to play triads. And someone mentioned, I think today, that they just learned the other F. I'm assuming you're talking about this F here. Whatever. I just, once I learned this F right here, well, that changed everything. Okay? So instead of this, I could just play that. And then later on, through what you do, you learn, you get better, and you find out more because you want to, right? Not because someone's forcing you, but you want to learn. So you learn a lot easier that way. I realized that if I move that up 2 frets, I'm playing a G. And then an A. And then a B. How cool is that? All from that F chord. Didn't move a thing, just sliding it up and down. Like, how cool is that? Okay? Now, if we really want to break it down, we are playing almost the same notes. Okay? We're missing one here, and we're missing the root here. But other than that, it's pretty much the same, right? Especially if we bar here. So we've got the F. We got the F right here barred. Okay? Like it's all there. When we play the bar chord, we have a C, an F, an A, and an F down there. When we play it this way, we have an F, an A, and a C. We have the same notes. We just don't have as many of them as the bar version. So this F, if we bar it, we've got F, C, A, F. This version, the full bar, we have F, F, A, C, F. Surprise! So it's the same chord. And once I learned that, look how easy it is now. And then the other thing we're going to talk about, it's not really a beginner's thing, but then again, it's one of those things that if you learn it early, like I didn't, you can adopt it right away. And that's your G. Okay, so we all learn our G this way. Okay? For all you theory freaks out there, a G chord is a G, a B, and a D. Those 3 notes put together, played together, is a G chord. Okay? Why do we play 6 strings on a G chord if all we need is 3? That's a G. That's a G. How can that be? Well, it's because when we play the first 3 strings, we're playing the G, the B, and the D. Note. G, B, D. G, B, D. G chord. When we play all of the strings, we're playing G, B, D, G, B, G. We're playing the same notes repetitively. So this G sounds thicker, lusher, richer. It's a beautiful, everybody loves this G. This is everybody's G. This is the G for all. Okay? Nice. You got some good chords in there. You got some, that you're taking that on is fantastic. And you're doing it because you want to do it. You want to get better. And when you want to get better, you find a way to get your pinky over there. You find a way to get your ring finger in place. You find a way to make it happen because you're motivated. And that's my whole point. If you pick the guitar up, cool. Well, I hope it helped. And there's a lot more of that too. Like, this is difficult, but it doesn't have to be right. But every chord is like that. Okay, so let's look at the C chord. Okay, there's your C chord, the way we play it, right? Okay, now you strum the 5 strings. Sometimes they tell you, hey, put your pinky on that G note, the 3rd fret, right there. There's the E, becomes a G, right? Okay. All right, let's break the C down. So we strum these 5. What do we got? We got a C on the 5th string right here. Right here. The next is a D string, but we're fretting it at the 2nd fret, so it's an E. So we're fretting a C, we're fretting an E, And then we have an open string, which is G. So we have C, E, G. Then we have another C, right? Second string, first fret. And then the last string we play open. And that's what? An E. So let's look at it again. C, E, G, C, E. There's only 3 notes, C, E, and G. And a triad is your first, third, and fifth note of a chord. So in this case, C would be 1, C note would be 1. The D would be the second, we're not using it. The E would be the third, we're using it by fretting the D string at the second fret. You see where this is going? Everything we play in those 5 strings is either a C, an E, or G. Okay? So every chord is like that. That's what triads are. Triads say, okay, you know what? Hey, wait a minute here. This is a G. Okay? That's a G. Triads go, hey, buddy, you're killing yourself. Why play 6 notes when you can only play 3? The first, the third, and the fifth. The G chord, the first would be the G. Second would be A, we don't use A. The third would be a B. There's the B, fretted right here. And the fifth note, we skip C. The fifth note would be this D string played open. So a triad, I can sit here, you play your G, and I can just go like this. Just those 3 strings. There's a that's a perfectly acceptable G triad. And that's all triads are. Someone decided, let's take out all the repetitive notes and just play the first, third, and the fifth. That's it. And in some cases, the fingerings are a little different, of course, because you're only playing 3 notes across 3 strings. That's it. That's a triad. So easy. Yet it's not, because you need to know what those first, third, and fifths are. You need to know where they are. And yes, there are repetitive shapes, just like bar chords, that you move up and down. Right? And yes, those string shapes change depending, or those chord shapes change depending on what strings you're playing over the first 3, or strings 2, 3, and 4, or 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6. The shapes are different. Yes, gets complicated. But the theory is simple. The first note, the third note, and the fifth note of the scale is your triad. Okay, but we don't need to know that right now. So there's our G triad. Simple, right? So I was saying about switching up your G. I'm not sure. I just want to read your comment there. Yeah. Yeah. No. Triad meaning 3 notes, not 3 chords. Okay, so remember, G, we have 6 notes we're playing. 6. But it's only 3 notes multiple times. Okay? Okay, yeah. All right. So when you move on later, which is, we talk about this in the Thursday lessons. We talked about triads. I think it was last week we showed some examples of triads. When you move on, this is something as you progress that you might want to. I never really did because I didn't need to. And see what I'm saying? It doesn't make me a less of a guitar player. It might in some people's eyes, but I just never needed to play them. And I'm like, well, if I don't need them, like, why should I put in the effort to learn them? One day, someone might say to me, hey, Ray, you want to join our band? And I might say, sure. And, well, you're the 3rd guitar player, so this is what your role will be. We need you to just play triads as a rhythm over everything else or under everything else. Okay. So I will have to learn all my triads. I'd have to look at their songs and go, okay, they play a lot of C, D, Gs, they play a lot of A, D, Es, or B, whatever, F sharp, minor, E, D, whatever their songs are. And I'd have to figure out the triads to play. So it would be just like going back to school and learning open chords again and how to play them. But my point here is, by learning the way we learn now, which is our open chords, and learn 3 and make sure you know them by the back of your hand, learn your strumming, get some touch on those strings, build that guitar foundation. That's what I talk about. You hear that a lot. This is called a guitar foundation. We're not playing songs, we're not playing music. We are learning how to build this foundation of left hand, right hand, ear, and brain. Once we have those 4 components, now we're like that juggler, right, with the bowling balls. These guys didn't start that way. They started by 1 ball, and then 2 balls, and then drop them, and then 3 balls and drop them, and continuously until they figured out how much time they had in between, what they had to do with their hands, timing, more importantly, confidence, attitude. Hey, look at me, I can do this. No problem. Okay? That's what we're doing at the boot camp early beginner level. We got to build this up, because if we don't have the ability to do this, well, like that person said before, you can't play any songs if you don't know how to go, or whatever the 3 chords are. You got to be able to do that before you do anything. That's called a guitar. I call it a guitar foundation. Then you build on top of that where you want to go. I didn't want to go to triads. I may, right? And again, right? And again, I'm at the level now that even though I don't know how to do something, or I don't do it that well, I'm at the level where if I sat down because I wanted to, if I sat down for 3 nights and put my brain to it and dedicated myself to it, well, hey, I'm playing triads. No problem. Or bar chords or scales, or I'm learning a new scale, right? Once I figured out how to get what I needed to do out of what I, needed to have, which is good chord playing, the odd bar chord, B minor, F sharp major, or F sharp minor, 2 of the most important ones to learn as open chord players, because they come up in everything once you start getting into more sophisticated songs. So I learned those. Didn't learn the rest of my bar chords. I just stuck with those 2. And then as I expanded, then I wanted to learn new techniques, and it was so easy. Why? Because I had a guitar foundation. So there's no more of this. There's no more of this. C, okay. Now what I gotta, oh, wait a minute. D, hold on. D. Got it. Now G, oh my God, I gotta go. There's no more of that. That's gone. I can now, because I'm confident, I've got a foundation, I know what's going on, I can sit there and go, okay, triad. Okay, what am I looking at? Okay, there's a G triad here. Okay, so that would be an A. This would be a B. Okay, I get it. And there's the notes. Yep, that's right. Oh, remember what we talked about, flattening the 3rd? Okay, well, this is an inverted triad. Okay, if I want to, I'll get to that comment in a second. If I want to play a minor version of this chord, I got to flatten the 3rd. Which one of these 3 is the 3rd? Oh, I don't know. I happen to know it's this one. So if I flatten it, means I got to play that, but I can't do it in that shape, so I just put my 1 finger, and there's my G minor, okay? So there's things like that when you want to know that stuff, I got to address this whole chat thing because it's driving me nuts. Oh, no problem. No problem, Teresa. A chef, nice. That I'm a retired chef, and we have another chef here, Jeff Guitars, has his own place out on. I believe you're in the Cape Cod area, Jeff, right? Or you're somewhere in there. I'm just being sort of regional. That's great. That's awesome. Must be something about being creative, right? Oh, West, unfortunately, yeah. Well, you obviously know what it's all about and you know what you're missing and whether or not you miss it. And that's, again, what's important. Oh, nice. So again, that's, you know, so for you guys just coming here, I'll show you all that stuff over time. I've got videos about all this stuff on my, if you want to sort. So I know it's difficult. There's so many videos. I got like, there's like over 300 videos, and it can be a nightmare. I've gone to people's sites, and there's like 400 videos. You don't know where to look, and it's tough. I get it, but I have all this stuff try to be kind of broken down, and they're not fancy videos. There's no special effects and stuff going off. It's just me doing this. So you might want to take a wander through my library. For the rest of you, if you enjoy this and you're getting something out of it, it's what I'm all about 7 days a week, okay? I do this show on Tuesdays. On Thursdays, I do a more advanced show. We talk about triads, bar chords, and scales, and playing lead guitar, theory, all that kind of stuff. I try to dumb it down and make it as easy to understand as possible. And if you want to support the channel, it's much appreciated, and there's a few ways you can do that. First and foremost is if you do the subscribe thing. I never know where that is, but there's a subscribe button somewhere. That tells me that you're interested in what I'm doing, so that's great. Obviously, the more subscribers, and we have been building constantly for the last year and a bit that we've been doing this. That's fantastic. It tells YouTube that. Oh, cool. Good to hear. It tells YouTube that I always say might be a somebody after all when I'm really a nobody. So YouTube thinks that, and it does throw my stuff out to more people. And that's the best way to support, to say, hey, you know what? I just learned something today. Thanks a lot. And I've done it with others. I remember my shower. I had to fix a shower. I went to YouTube. Guy showed me how to change the cartridge. I may or may not ever go back to the channel, but I hit subscribe as a thank you, right? So that's the best way. By commenting on videos as I put them out, you leave comments, even if it's just a thumbs up, or I don't get me wrong, I welcome anybody that has questions or wants to debate something like, oh, how come you say this when I kind of learn it that way? Like, I like my way better. Why do you like your way? And hey, I have no problems. I'll tell you where I'm coming from all the time, right? So anytime you comment, apparently that helps a video too. It shows YouTube that maybe there's something there that other people might be interested in. So those are the best ways to support a channel. Of course, you can always send me money. I have no issues with that. I'm not going to turn that down in any way, but no. So now, I also come on here spontaneously throughout the other days of the week. So last week I came on and I just played 6 or 7 songs. That's all I did. Show up. Hi, everybody. Here's a few songs, some of my own songs, some cover songs. Thanks for joining me. See you later. Okay. I also gig on streetjelly.com. You can find me there. My link is in my channel description, Ray from Alora. So you can, if you want to venture over there, it's completely free. And, so I'm always kind of doing something. that you're welcome to be a part of. And if you do decide to come, sometimes I'm just practicing. Like I'm like you, I practice all the time because I'm trying, I haven't hit that plateau yet where I say, you know what, I'm good here. There's still some things that I would like to achieve, right? And again, that goes back to the whole basis of everything. We're all different. And some of us are happy playing basic songs with 3 chords and others aren't. So the ones that aren't, once you've got that guitar foundation, once I built it, I could go anywhere I want. The first 2 times I tried to learn, a year each time, I didn't have that guitar foundation. And why didn't I have it? I played for 2 years, right? Hey, nice. Yeah. Hey, learning by ear, right? That's the most purest way. So good for you. That's awesome. But why didn't I? Why wasn't I any good after 2 years of playing guitar in total? Like 1 year, and then I quit for 4 months, 5 months, and then I started again. I played another year, and I quit for 4 or 5 months. Why was I no good? And it used to bother me. And nobody could tell me on YouTube why my bar chords didn't sound. They always clunky, and I missed everything, and then my hands were sore. Why? Well, I know why now. And again, this isn't the guitar termination or terminology where you're going to see this. I don't think so. Because I did not have a guitar foundation. I did not have the foundation in place. So we have chefs here, right? We have artists. We have probably mechanics. We probably have tradespeople. We probably have financial people. We probably have all kinds of various careers here. Well, how do you get good at what you do? You got to learn the basics, and you've got to perfect them. You've got to build a foundation. So if you're a chef, you need good knife skills. You need good organizational skills. You need, before you get even creative, you need the basic working knowledge of how certain foods react, temperature, how you cook, different methods of cooking these foods. It's a process. Once you've learned that, now you can apply that to anywhere you go. So like many here, I was a chef for a number of years. And all of a sudden, I always had my own places. And then I sold towards the end, kind of getting near retirement. I was lucky enough to sell. And I thought, you know what, I got the bug. So I went and worked for other people. And they might say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that. Well, I didn't, I'm just going to use this as an example. It's been like years since I've done braised whatever, or I've worked with beef tongue, or I've worked with squid. But because I have a foundation of cooking, knowing more than the basics, knowing my way around a kitchen, knowing my way around a knife, knowing how certain cooking techniques can enhance, help, or destroy a certain type of food, I'm able to apply all that to work with something that I've never worked with or very rarely worked with before. Well, if we look at that with the guitar, even though I don't know triads, or I don't know my major scale, or I don't know my blues scale, or whatever, because I have a guitar foundation, the ability to play with both hands, make it sound musical, understand what I'm playing, and listen so that I know if I'm right or wrong, right? That allows me to learn quicker than someone just starting out because, well, it's just the way it is. And that's the difference for me the 3 times that I tried this. The 3rd time, I realized it's more than just watching a video, putting your fingers here. Okay, great. I'm playing my A bar chord. Awesome. But without little things like positioning, mechanics, understanding with my brain that, okay, I'm playing an A, right? But now I got to play a D. Well, okay, so let's go up here and play the D. Oh, wait a minute. I can just do this and play the D here. So now I'm playing. Makes me more efficient, right? It's a lot easier to play than moving all around. Right? That's just a small example, but that's what I'm talking about. Once you have acquired a foundation and a general understanding of how everything works, there's really nothing that you can't reach within a reasonable amount of time if you want to. And if you don't want to, the heck with it. I don't want to learn that. Yeah, I knew you were there somewhere, Jeff. I wasn't saying it to be, any kind of ignorance at all or not knowing where you, but I never really pinpointed. I don't think I ever asked you exactly where you were, but I know I think you're in a touristy area. So, but yeah, so you see what I mean? That's once I realized that this is no different than being a chef and going to work at a different type of restaurant, serving a different type of food, cooked a different type of way. Because I'm an experienced chef, I can adapt, or I should be able to, like that. Well, it's the same here. I might only be a 3-chord player, a strummer, a joker, a midnight, whatever, right? Okay. And then I join a band that they say, Ray, you know what? You gotta play all triads or bar chords or power. You're gonna be the power chord guy, okay? Oh, okay. What are they? Okay, give me a day. I'll figure it out. Okay, there's your. Oh, you want to use the octave? Okay, all right, I got it. I'll figure it out and I'll start playing. I'll see you next week, and I'm very confident that I'll be up to snuff, right? Hold on a second. I got another one there. Okay, yeah, all right. Well, there's an example. So you don't know the names of the chords or whatever that you're using or playing. You're relying on what they sound like. Fantastic. It's just another way of getting the job done, right? And the metaphor thing, yeah, and it's funny because I started doing that in the kitchen, training other people. I'd find out, you get some kid that's into something, so you will relate what you're trying to teach him to what he knows. And I'm like you. I've always liked, my mind needs to know how this all works and give me something to compare it to, right? And I know there's others out there like that. What did we just say here? Nice. Hey, cool, Wes. That's nice. Yeah. Well, see, and the beauty of that is, right? Like I know for me, if someone said, hey, Ray, like let's say a friend of mine or a friend of a friend, or, hey, Ray, can you teach me how to play guitar? Sure. The first thing that I would say, the first thing I would ask, what do you want to do? Right? What do you want to do? And then I would put something together based on what they told me they wanted to do. Had a young daughter, put her in piano way back. And I don't know if I could get it because all she was doing for the first bit was playing all these scales. And I'm sure they got it all figured out. I'm sure they knew what they were doing. And, like what was she, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there? Already had a phone, right? Because that's what they do now, and listening to music. And she just said, Dad, I don't know. I see you're not practicing and everything. She was I don't understand. I want to play songs. And that's what happens is she kind of lost interested in that, but she still had her keyboard and she would play songs. So you see what I mean? So we all do it differently. Yeah. So you're oh yeah. Well, you're sound like you're an electric guy, West, which is something that I'm not yet. I play electric guitar. I use it mostly for playing along to backing tracks like leads and stuff like that, working on my theory and scales and things like that. I do like the power chord, whole idea of the power chord. And I just, electric, it's different, right? And you're relying on effects and pedals and things like that. And, it's just a little different. Hold on a second. I'll be back in 30 seconds, okay? I just have someone, I'm expecting a delivery I have to sign for, and they're at the door. I'll be right there. All right, sorry about that. It's a document. I don't really want to say anything right now because in case probably nothing will happen about it. But I was contacted by a production company, and they want to use. They asked about using a song that I wrote in some independent film here, and it's by no means a done deal at all. This is I guess the proposal or whatever. So I'm anxious to look it over. I'm not expecting it to be anything. I don't even know. As far as I know, it's one of many that's up for consideration. So I'm actually, I'm pretty stoked about it. It's quite an accomplishment for someone like me, not being, again, a professional, lifelong musician. So I'm quite happy about it. So I'm anxious to go through that. And it's really nothing. It's not a big deal or anything, and it may not happen. But so that's what that was about. I just had to. So look, what did we learn today? Well, we learned different things, but again, like anything, it's more about philosophies. It's more about, how to proceed learning the guitar, as opposed to, all right, do this, do that, and do this. I'm all about the philosophy, the strategy of learning the guitar. It's so important. And some of my troll friends, that's what they don't understand. They don't understand why I don't encourage certain things or I skip over certain aspects of playing the guitar. And it's because what I saw was a need for people to explain this instrument and going about using it in a more basic way. Like, I'm not trying to teach people to be ready for the Berklee School of Music. I'm trying to show people how they could go about teaching themselves to play basic songs and what would be required, what you need to do physically, what you need to do mentally in order to play that favorite song of yours. You want to play Freebird? No problem. It's chords. We got to find out the chords. We got to learn how to play those chords, right? Transition enough to make them sound musical. And then use our right hand right? Now we can start learning how to play the song. Why bother, like I did, learning all these techniques that I'm never going to use? I was learning scales, I don't know, the Mixolydian, the Dorian mode of the Mixolydian of the minor pentatonic. No idea. None. But there I was, memorizing it from a piece of paper because that's what somebody on YouTube told me I had to do. That's the problem. So that's where I come in, right? So I'm the guy that would, if this was a commercial, I'd be, stop. No, you don't need this, okay? Get rid of this guy. This is what you need to do. That is very good information, and it's true, and it's real, and he's very good at delivering it. But this is something down the line. And I didn't have that. And I feel that people need that, and that's what I'm here for. So there you go. So we'll be here, for those of you interested, we'll be here Thursday. Nice. Nice. Be happy if you have any of your work anywhere, send me some links. I'd love to have everybody's welcome to send me stuff. I have no issues. If you want me to hear things, if you want me to, look, I don't feel I'm anybody to give you any kind of critique on what you're doing because it's your art, it's your work, it's what you want, okay? I will gladly, if I see most people, it's, I'm having trouble with my strumming or I'm having trouble this, can you watch me? And sometimes I can pick things out or whatever, but usually it's all about confidence and attitude, really. So, but I've always liked to see and hear what people are doing. It's somewhere down the road, I want to build a more inclusive community. So I want it to be more than just me talking to you. I would like some interaction. So I've been looking at the Zoom thing. I've been looking at different, off of YouTube website options where I can have people interact more. And that's definitely something that I would like to maybe explore. To take this to maybe another level. And hey, maybe not. I don't know. We can do a lot here. And I think, and of course, it also, this is transient, right? So, I think, if anybody knows, somebody gave me a tip, but it wasn't accurate yet. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So you just like it. So, and that's my point too, is that not everybody wants to be a star in the music industry. We just like making music. And I'll do that any way I want, thank you. Not you, but to the trolls out there, right? So, that's the thing. And the more of you that understand that you don't have to do things a certain way, unless again you're going to be a professional musician, then yeah, you got to learn your craft. But if you just want to get in there and have some fun, you start with a good little guitar foundation and you can go anywhere you want, right? So all right, well, I think we've pretty much covered it. If you guys want to join me Thursday, we're going to be continuing as always to talk about lead guitar. We're going to talk about, that's where we're at. That seems to be a lot of questions I get about scales, using scales, playing notes, playing riffs, playing licks, playing leads, little things like that, right? And again, what I'm going to show you is little ways to get started, things you'll need to get started, little things that you'll have to work on, both physically and theory-wise, in order to accomplish that. And that's what we're going to talk, that's what we generally talk about Thursdays, triads and bar chords and power chords. I think we're going to explain, even though it's acoustic, I'm going to take you through a basic intro to power chords and how they're generally used. And again, they're not hard. They take a little bit of, fingering practice to figure it out and touch and feel with the pick, but they're not hard. And to be honest, it's like what it's like is like somebody years ago sat down, just like with triads, and said, there must be a quicker, easier way to play these damn things. So they decided, well, let's just play 2 notes instead of the whole chord, right? Those are power chords. And you can get the same, by playing a certain 2 notes, you can get the same, voicing as you can a full bar chord. And a lot of times with power chords, right, when you look from this angle, right now, it looks like I could be playing anything, really. I could be playing, right here, I could be playing an A bar chord. I could be playing something in D, right? You can't tell where my fingers are. But really, they're only on these 2 right here. So this would be what they would call an A5, right? I'm sorry, a D5. D to E in a very, very rudimentary power chord right there. That's it. That's all it is. 2 notes. Now, if I add the octave in, right, with my pinky, now I'm playing a D, right? And I'm playing right here, this is an A, right? That's the 5th note. So in a D chord, D is 1, A is 5th. So that would be a D5 power chord. That's it. And if I add my pinky underneath, now I'm playing the octave of D, right? I'm playing the octave. So I'm still playing the D5, but I'm playing the octave. So I'm playing two D notes and 1 A. And remember when we talked about open chords? How we play the same notes multiple times within the chord? All right. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to intro those on Thursday. And then we're going to look at scales. Got a great way to play your major scale, to learn your major scale, and to actually use it and play it. We're going to talk about that. And so that's Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's really about it. So again, anybody has any questions, you're welcome to send them along. And if not, we will see you hopefully on Thursday. And if you want to stick to just the beginner thing, next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. We won't be doing a show. I will post it. We won't be doing a show Christmas Eve. Okay? But I do plan on doing the Boxing Day show. The advance, we'll just call it the Christmas Guitar Show. But I won't be able to do the Christmas Eve show. Okay? But I'll make sure everybody is aware of that. So anyways, hopefully we'll see you soon. I'm just going to pick along to a bit of a track here. See what we can... Thanks, everybody, and happy practicing. Thanks, Wes.